welcome to episode 4 of the Knits and Burls podcast. My name is Annie and I am joining you from Katy, Texas, where I live with my husband and our 3 kiddos. If you are new, then welcome, and if you're returning, welcome back. I really appreciate you taking some time out of your day and spending it with me as we discuss all things knitting and crafting. I hope that you have something good to drink or sip on and some cozy knitting to work on while we talk. Today I am wearing my Comfort Fade CARDI by ANDREA MOWRY. I had finished this in my last episode, and then all it needed to be done was blocked and washed, and I've done that, and I've been wearing it for about the past month, and I absolutely love it. I'll get up and show you a little closer look. I used the Greenhouse Fade Kit by Knotty Pine Fiber Co. And I absolutely love the yarn and the finished project. It is so cozy and it's colorful but neutral at the same time, and it goes with everything. I knit the size 5 and I didn't make any modifications. You can check out the last episode if you want more details. I'm so glad that I have this done and in my wardrobe, and I have no complaints. I love it. So today we have a pretty full episode. I have a couple of finished objects, a couple of failed projects, a few new whips, and a couple of acquisitions to go over with you. So first, let's join in for the finished objects. So I finished 2 things this month. I finished a pair of socks for my middle child, my youngest son, Jackson. And these are the, well, they're fingering weight, but I used the Hello Old Sport pattern by Laura Millard of Porch Fibre Co. So it's a pretty simple sock pattern, vanilla. I used her shadow wrap heel that she discussed in her pattern, and then a rounded toe. I cast on 52 stitches for these socks, and he's 4 years old, but a very big 4-year-old. I used Knit Picks Felici, and I will have to insert the colorway name here because I can't remember what it is, but I believe it was called Under the Sea. I loved these socks, and I'm glad that they're done, and I will add them to his Christmas present this year. The second finished object I have is actually crochet, which I've only ever crocheted once before, so I was so happy about these. This is the Chicken Coaster Pot Holder, and I found a video on YouTube that had an awesome tutorial, and I just followed it all the way through each time that I did one of these. They are so cute. So I made these for a Christmas present for my mom. She has chickens and she absolutely loves them. So when I saw this, I knew, ooh, she would love those. I used, let me get it really quick. So I used the Sugars and Cream yarn, which I believe I got at Michael's. It looks like this. I used 5 different colors: red, white, black, yellow, and warm brown is what this one was called. I made no modifications to the pattern except that I used a different hook size. I used a hook size H, and that's just because I couldn't find the other one that she discussed in the pattern, and then that hook size was recommended on the ball band, so I figured it'll be okay. I was actually able to complete all 3 of these in one day, which was really cool because, like I said, I don't crochet, but the video tutorial was just so easy and straightforward that I just kept hitting replay and took a few breaks, and by the end of the night I had them done. So finished object number 2, and now I can wrap these up and give them to my mom. let's move on to some failed work in progresses. Okay, like I mentioned, I had a couple of failed projects this month, and so let's just rip off the band-aid and get into them. Last time I was knitting the mini unbearable sweater that I was intending to make for both of my boys' Christmas present. I cast on the 6-year-old size, and I have a 4-year-old and a 6-year-old, so I was hoping it would fit them both. But it turned out way too small. And if you know what the pattern looks like, this is heavily modified. I got to the color motif, which should have bears and flowers, and the floats were just so long that I was a little bit discouraged, and I decided to do plain stockinette and then just a small amount of color work, which they really liked the mountain motif that I found on a couple of other Ravelry pages. So that was my intention to do these. And then I finished the body and I tried it on my 6-year-old, who is leaner than my 4-year-old. So they're both similar sizes. And it was tight. It fit, but it was tight. And I knew it would not fit next year. So I decided to stop. I bound off the body and I set it to the side. And I considered just going ahead and finishing it because it needs sleeves and the design has a hood with little bear ears, which was their favorite part of the design, so I definitely had to do the hood. But the more I thought about it, the more I decided no. I wasn't gonna waste the yarn or my time just to finish the sweaters and then only be able to wear it this year. So I've decided what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to try to modify the pattern to make it in between sizes. The next size up from the 6-year-old size is 12, which is a huge jump. So I'm going to try to see if maybe I could figure out the numbers and get an in-between size, or if I could look at some other patterns and then try to figure out the hoodie portion, because that's their favorite portion of this sweater. So I really want to be able to give them that. And then I think I could easily figure out how to add this to any pattern that I decide. So that was fail number 1. I was pretty disappointed for about a week. And but I'm glad with my decision to just leave this how it is. And I have a lot of yarn that I purchased for these sweaters, so maybe I won't have to frog it. And if I don't, I still think this would look really cute on my daughter. She's only 15 months, so I don't need to finish it right away. But I think this would look adorable on her, so I'm not going to frog it unless I need it for the bigger sweaters that I hope to make them over the next year. So fail number 1, and then fail number 2. I was feeling really happy about casting off my Comfort Fade CARDI as well as my Weekender last month, and so I decided to treat myself by casting on a new garment for me. I discussed last time that I had purchased, well, I had it in my stash, some Plötulopi. And this is colorway 1038. I purchased this for the Wild Posy jumper by Melody Hoffman. And I decided, since I finished those 2 sweaters and I was so excited, that I would go ahead and treat myself to casting on the Wild Posy. And I did. So I have a 38.5-inch bust, which would correlate with the size 2, and then the size 3 I believe was about a 42-inch bust. So I've lost a lot of weight since having our daughter, and I'm still trying to figure out sizing of everything. Especially, I think I'm pear-shaped is what you would call it. My hips are wider than, you know, my chest, and I try to have that in mind when I pick a sweater size, because I don't want it to fit really well up here but then be tight on my hips. And that's why I chose to do size 3 for the wild posy jumper. So I cast on size 3 and I made it about halfway through the yoke, and I kept looking at it and kept thinking, oh man, this looks so big. So I put it onto a longer cable and I tried it on, and sure enough, it was huge. So that was fail number 2. I ripped out that sweater, which didn't take too long. It's a sticky yarn, but I just ripped it out, keeping the strands double, and put it into its own separate ball, and then I cast on for size 2. So this is all that I have of that so far. I've been distracted by other projects, so I haven't really made it very far, and I'm a little bit nervous just about the sizing. I see in the pattern that the neckline is wider than a lot of other sweaters, and so I'm nervous about that, but I think this doesn't look too bad. The other one was huge, like I said. So I want to continue on with this, get further down in the yoke, because it is a really intriguing pattern. It has lace all at the top, or it has lace and then texture and then lace again, the one that I chose. So it's a really intriguing knit, and I think once I get through the yoke that I will have a better understanding of how it's going to fit me, and then I can go from there. And if it fits well, if it looks like it's going to fit well, I think I'll be really encouraged to just get through it. We have a trip planned in March to go to Colorado with my husband's family, and I would really love to have this sweater done by then, because I think it would be perfect to wear on that vacation. So fail number 2, but a new work in progress. So this past month I've been feeling a little bit, I guess I would say, untethered. I think that's the best description for it. I've cast off a lot recently, and next month I'm going to be doing a lot of Advent stuff. I'm going to make a blanket with my Knotty Pine Fiber Co. Advent yarn, as well as a pair of socks from, I'll have to put her name right here, but I got an Advent skein to make socks. So in my head, I've just been preparing for all of that, knowing that December is going to be committed to those 2 projects. But then I've also really just wanted to cast things on, so I've kind of done that. Let me show you the rest of my works in progress. So first thing first, this is living in my Jenna Rose bag. I think I've shown this multiple times before. I love this bag. It never gets dirty, so I gravitate for this all the time, and it's really pretty. So this is pair of sock number 2. This is for my oldest son, Dawson. I cast on 56 stitches for his sock, and I'm going to make them exactly the same as Jackson's, except he wants his one stripe taller than Jackson's. And he chose a really pretty red that he wants for his heel, since these are his Christmas socks this year. So that's just started, and it's waiting for me to pick them up and continue on. I need to get cracking on that project because Christmas is quickly approaching. So another work in progress that I cast on this month that was kind of an impromptu cast on, but has been so enjoyable, is the Drea Renee Knits Everyday Sweater. So I purchased the yarn that she designed the sweater in. It's Mountain Meadow wool and the Tweeds and Flint colorway, or that might be just the name of the yarn. I did the same colorway that she chose in her project. I cast on for size 3, which I think is like a 42.5 finished bust circumference. And here it is. So I did the tubular cast on like she said in the pattern, which is definitely worth it in my opinion, and honestly doesn't take that much more time, especially if you follow her tutorials that she provides in the pattern. She has an awesome YouTube tutorial on how to do it. So I have finished all of the yoke increases. It's a circular yoke sweater, knit top down. And right now I am just knitting until the front of my sweater reaches a certain dimension, and then I will split for the sleeves. So this project has been so comforting. It is basically mindless, which I really love. It has been my reading companion this last month. Anytime that I read, I'm usually working on this because it's mainly stockinette, except for a few increase rows that you have to pay attention to. And the yarn has been so lovely to work with. I'm already on my second ball. It's this really gorgeous 2-ply that it looks heathered, in my opinion, whenever it's knit up. And it's one of those yarns that just demands your attention in my experience. You know, it's very soft. I wouldn't say it's rustic at all. Like, it's very soft. But it just has a really unique texture that you notice whenever you're knitting with it and just touching the fabric. So I really enjoyed this knit. I don't believe I've made any modifications, and I was able to get gauge with the needle size that she recommended. And continuing on with ANDREA MOWRY designs, because I seem to be obsessed with her lately. I joined in on her CURIO socks knit along, and I will not be making it. So really I'm just knitting the pattern. I am using Back Porch Fibre Co's Sport Weight. This is in her Ocean colorway. I got this, I believe, in Stash Acquisitions on my first episode. So I'm pairing this is my main color, and I am pairing it with SPINCYCLE Dyed in the Wool, and it's called WOLOLO. I'm not quite sure, but I will put the name right here because I wasn't sure how to pronounce it. So these are them separated. And this is as far as I am. So this is my first sock. Hopefully you can see that. I might be at the point of needing the afterthought heel. And then this is my second sock. I started the toe. So I'm a little bit confused by the pattern. I've never worked toe-up socks before, so this is my first time. And I'm just trying to figure out when to put in the yarn to indicate the afterthought heel. So she says in the pattern that you can try it on, which I really like. And then once you get to the point to where when your foot is flexed at the top of your ankle, the sock rests right there in that ridge, then that should indicate that you're ready for the heel. But I feel like my heel is really big, so I just want to make sure that I don't need to leave more room. I need to measure it and then try to look further in the directions and see if I can get more help with the sizing. But I've been really enjoying these socks. It has this beautiful line going up, and it's not color work at all. You're knitting with only one color each row, and then you're just switching them every row. So this has been really, really enjoyable. It's kind of, I think people call it popcorn knitting, where you're like, ooh, I just want one more row. This is totally what this has been for me. I am really enjoying the SPINCYCLE. I've worked with it once before, and honestly I was a little disappointed when I got this skein in the mail. I thought it was going to look different than it did, but I still really like it, and I think it's perfect, you know, Thanksgiving weekend color to work on. It's very autumnal, and I've enjoyed working on it. There's just no way I'll finish it by Monday because it was a busy weekend with friends and family. This is living in this really cool bag. It's called Mighty Woolly. So it's almost like a little bucket. I honestly don't know if this bag maker produces bags anymore. But if they do, I will leave her info below, and then you can just tie it. And it's like a portable yarn bowl. I really enjoy it. And then my final work in progress, I've just been working on this here and there. I actually only cast on last night, and I was able to finish a shawl and an apron in one night. Granted, they are miniature. So this is the Mrs. Claus laundry line. I'm sure that you've heard of the Santa or Mr. Claus laundry line, I believe is what it's called on Ravelry. So I was looking through those project pages, and I stumbled upon a lady. Her Ravelry name is ALittleTeapot, and her name's Allison. And she made a Mrs. Claus laundry line. So I was messaging with her, and she said that she was writing up the pattern, and she was so kind to send it to me. So I've been working through that pattern, and it has been so much fun. Especially, like I was saying earlier, I've just been feeling a little untethered with my knitting. Just, I think I don't know if you can relate to this, but sometimes whenever I go from one big project to the next, I can feel a little like just off balance and trying to focus again. So I was really craving something that I could get off the needles fast, and that was really fun to work on, and this has totally scratched that itch. I'm using Knit Picks palette, and I actually don't know the name of all these colorways, so I will leave the information below. But I have like a white, a black, a red, and a green. So I'll also be knitting the Mr. Claus's laundry line, and then I can have them both strung up next to each other, and I think my kids would get such a kick out of that. That's really cute. So those are all of my works in progress. I have a lot, so I don't need any more, but once December 1st hits, then my focus is going to be torn to Advents, and then I need to quickly come back and finish all of these because it is way too much. So I have a couple of acquisitions this month, and let's get into it. So I already showed you my first acquisition. I got a sweater's quantity of the Mountain Meadow wool to make the Andrea MOWRY sweater, and it has been so wonderful. I don't think I mentioned this is Buffalo, Wyoming wool. It's a 2-ply sport weight, 100% mountain merino wool, grown on Little Ranch, Buffalo, Wyoming. And this is the Tweeds and Flint. And that was such a lovely addition to my stash that will hopefully be quickly turning into a sweater that I can enjoy. So my second acquisition, I got a custom dyed colorway from Back Porch Fiber Co. This is a gorgeous warm brown taupe color that I intend to pair with my Knotty Pine Fiber Co. advent calendar. I purchased 7 skeins of this. I'm going to knit her advent calendar, and then if I have enough of the solid, I have a small mini skein set. I believe she called it her fall socks mini skein set. And so I'm planning on putting that at the end of the blanket if I have enough yarn left, and if it's not too gigantic. And then my last acquisition this month is Pearl Soho's Linen Quill, and this is in their heirloom white colorway. I would say that this is a cool white with some, blues and gray undertone. And my intention for this is my friend Laura from Back Porch Fiber Co. We are going to cast on a half wrap by Pearl Soho. I believe March 1st is our intention. And I want to use heirloom white and pale mushroom, but their pale mushroom is out of stock right now. So I will probably use this colorway first, and then as soon as pale mushroom comes back in, I'll grab a few skeins of that. And I think that'll be perfect, just a really neutral wrap, which is what I kind of need in my wardrobe. I love Jacqueline Salem's from Brooklyn Knit Folk, her What the Fade shawl. It's a very neutral shawl that she used, I think, mainly Sweet Sparrow yarns and stress knits, and it's kind of like creamy whites with speckles all throughout, and I have always loved that shawl, but I think that this will be a great substitute for that, because I'll have the white paired with a really light neutral that I can fold in half if I want to wear the triangle shawl, or I can wrap it around like everyone else does with the half wrap. So I'm so excited to have this in my stash, and I cannot wait to cast that wrap on. I think it's going to be so enjoyable to knit. I love just knitting, the knit stitch garter. It'll be wonderful. I think it'll make the perfect reading shawl, because I've been reading a lot lately. I have one of those book stands that you can just prop your book on and it'll hold the pages open for you, and I've been doing that and just knitting, and I think that this would make the perfect companion for doing that. So, final acquisition. So I figured I would spend a little bit of time just sitting and knitting and chatting with you. My daughter is still asleep, taking her nap, and my husband and boys are outside hanging up Christmas lights on the tree. So I have a few minutes to just sit and relax and chat with you. I noticed in my last episode, whenever I would talk without anything in my hands, I would just play with my hair. So I figured, well, I will just grab my knitting, put a couple rows on, and chat. I am an English knitter. Is that what it's called? An English style knitter? That's just the way that I was taught. I do think it would be really great to learn continental, especially if I was faster with it. I'm not very fast. Yeah, I think I just get distracted whenever I knit, that I don't focus on the speed as much. So I do plan on doing Vlogmas this year. I'm going to challenge myself to that. However, I'm going to do not every day. I think my goal will be to upload on Fridays and Mondays. Jacqueline from Brooklyn Knit Folk, who I was talking about earlier, I really loved how she did her Vlogtober, I believe is what she called it. And that was her upload schedule. She uploaded Fridays that kind of recapped her whole week, and then she uploaded on Mondays that recapped her weekend. And I loved that because, you know, you still got a peek into her every day, but I'm sure it relieved a lot of stress for her to not have to upload every night. My husband is getting his master's at Rice University right now, his MBA, and so he has night classes twice a week, as well as, you know, a plethora of papers and homework and group assignments and meetings. So realistically, I just don't have access to our laptop every night because he needs to use it for work. And, you know, I think just the nature of where we are in life right now with 3 young kiddos, there will probably be days that I just might not be able to really pick up the camera. My daughter is, yeah, she is a toddler, and she is rowdy and running around everywhere, so some days my time is just spent chasing after her. So, but I think it would be so fun to capture some memories that we have with the kids, and yeah, just to you know, show you my Knotty Pine Advent calendar. I'm so excited about that. I have thankfully resisted the urge thus far to open. I do think my friend Laura and I, she got me the Advent sock skein for my birthday present. And so her and I are going to open that together in the next couple days and wind it up. And yeah, maybe we'll cast on together at the same time. I should ask her about that. I think that'd be fun. And I'm planning on knitting the Drea Renee Knits Everyday Socks with that pattern. So it'll be my second toe-up socks. Hopefully I can finish the CURIO socks by then so that I know a little bit better about the fit. And I think that'll be fun because then I can use all of the stripes for sure. So I hope that you join me for Vlogmas if you want. I'm really looking forward to that. I can't wait to just celebrate the birth of Christ and to make new traditions with my kids. I love that. I feel like they're, especially my boys, they're getting at the age where, you know, they remember stuff. Especially my 6-year-old, you know, he says stuff and I'm like, wow, that's amazing that you remembered that and it made such an impact on you. And I'm just really looking forward to starting traditions with them. We're doing 2 Advents with the kids this year. My friend Laura, she made us, I believe it's all about Christ, an Advent all about Christ. So every day is a truth about Christ, and then you look up the Bible verse and you discuss it. And then we're also doing one that we did last year. Her last name is hard to pronounce, so I'll have to put it here, the author's name, but it's like a pop-up tree, and each day you open it up and there's a little booklet inside and it shares a story that points to Christ. So I'm really looking forward to doing that with the boys, and yeah, I'm just excited to celebrate this time of the year. And I've just been enjoying my knitting lately. I hope that you have too. I really appreciate you spending time with me. And I would love if you left a comment below so that we can get to know each other better. That's the main reason that I'm doing this podcast, is just I don't have really any real life knitting friends where I live. So yeah, I'm hoping to make more of a community here. And yeah, I hope to see you in the next month or so. Well, actually, I hope to see you in the first week of December. Thank you for joining me. Bye.